Okay, awesome. Welcome everybody to Bethel University's presentation. Thank you for joining us today. Just a couple of things before they get started. Just know that this is a webinar, so the viewers, your screen is not viewable, so you don't have to worry about that. There is a Q&A function for you to be able to type any questions you may have there, so that way our panelists here would be able to review that and answer your questions. If for whatever reason they're unable to get to all of the questions by the end, they will get a transcript of the questions to be able to reach out to you and answer that afterwards. So make sure that any queries that you have are listed there so that way you can get your questions answered. Without further ado, I will turn it over to them to present to you themselves and their university. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nathan. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this presentation to learn a little bit about Bethel University. My name is Olivia, and I work in the admission office here at Bethel, and I'm joined by some of my awesome coworkers from our admission office, too. If you don't know, Bethel University is a small private school in northern Indiana. We are located in Mishawaka. We have around 1,500 students, and we're a Christian university. So you'll hear that throughout all that we do in our little presentation here. Just one moment. My computer is frozen. Oh, there we go. Awesome. So like I said, we have around 1,500 students. We are in Mishawaka, right next to South Bend, Indiana. Because one of the benefits of us being small is that we have small classes. So if you come to Bethel and study one of our 50 areas of study, you are most likely to have around a class size of 18, which for me was smaller than a lot of my high school classes. And I went to a pretty small high school. So being a Bethel grad, I loved knowing people in my classes, really connecting with my professors and knowing them. So you'll hear more about our small class sizes, our awesome academics, our spiritual life, athletics, and even a little bit about the admission process and financial aid from these awesome ladies tonight. And I believe Brooke is kicking us off and telling us a little bit more about the academic side at Bethel.
Alrighty, so Bethel is located, Olivia has said this, but in Mishawaka, Indiana. And if you don't know of Mishawaka, you would probably know of South Bend. We're about in Throw Rock, almost to South Bend, so about 10 minutes away. But with our area, what's great about it is Mishawaka is a pretty good sized town, but then you also have local towns around us that offer lots of internships and jobs. So with our location, you can there's up to 16,000 local businesses to get great internships and jobs. I think about nursing majors. We have 4 hospitals in town that students can do clinicals at. We have so many public schools for our education majors. And just, yeah, those are just 2 majors, but all majors, there's opportunity to get hands-on experience with coming to Bethel and our area. Mishawaka, there's so much to do. We have, there's so many different parks and lots of different, there we go. We have lots of different parks and there's great shopping and restaurants. So there's definitely something to do on the weekends always. For some examples of recent internship sites, Elkhart General Hospital, a lot of our nursing majors tend to work in the hospitals, and then they end up through college, they end up getting their first jobs after working in the hospital. So that's awesome. We've had people go to the Indiana State Police, Fox 28 TV as well. And then we do have an office in our main academic building where we can help students with their resumes. We do resume coaching, interview prep, and then career development plan. So we offer testing, like a test for students to take if they're not sure about what career they are wanting to go into. So just know that the Bethel professors care about you as well as other staff members. And then our location really helps people find jobs after college. Alrighty. And then when it comes to academics, so Obviously, that's very important since we are a university. We offer over 50 areas of study. I would say these are the most popular majors on campus. So nursing, engineering, which is 3-2, so you do 3 years at Bethel, and then you do 2 years at either Trine or Notre Dame, and you get an engineering, math, and physics degree, all 3 in one. And then we also have education as a top major, business, and psychology. I was personally a Bethel grad and I was a communication major. And even though that's not the most popular major on campus, I still felt very prepared after graduation and got a job right away. So just know that we have so many areas of study with amazing professors. We also offer some other degrees here, like Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. We offer some associate degrees. And then we also have pre-professional programs. So if you're thinking pre-physical therapy, pre-dentistry, things like that, we do offer those programs. And then we also have graduate school. So I currently we know somebody at Yale right now, and local schools in town too. Huntington University, we have somebody there doing grad school. And then we also have on-campus graduate programs as well. The most popular tends to be our MBA program, but then we have a Master's of Education and a few others. And then one of the best things about Bethel, I think, that we offer is our Center for Academic Success. So with Bethel, we offer free tutoring. It's in our main academic building, and these tutors are our students. So for somebody that might get intimidated by going to office hours, you can actually get tutored by a classmate. And you can sign up once in a semester, or you can sign up 50 times, and it's always going to be free. And then we also do accommodate for students that come in with IEPs. But even if you don't come in with an IEP or some type of learning disability, we have a whole testing room where if you need a quiet space to test, or you just need more time on a test, there's a good chance that we will be able to help you. We have a whole center, the Center for Academic Success, and then we work with the student and the professors. So just know that Bethel, we want you to not only, pass classes, we want you to succeed and really understand what you're learning. So academics are very important to us, and yeah, we're here to help you. So.
Thank you, Brooke, for sharing a little bit about our academics and as well as our location, because that's really important when you're deciding on a college or university. You want to know, okay, what's around it, what opportunities exist. So that's a great way to set up, I guess, the rest of our presentation here, which gets into the heart, I think, of what Bethel is. So here I am going to share a little bit about spiritual formation, as well as campus activities and ways to get involved, as well as a few notes about studying abroad and doing trips abroad. So spiritual formation, as Olivia and Brooke have mentioned, we are a Christian university located in Northern Indiana. And so due to that, chapel is a part of our culture and a part of our heartbeat here. So chapel is essentially a service similar to what you might experience at a church, but school-wide. So the whole school attends, all faculty, all staff are invited as well. Chapel happens Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. for the first couple weeks of school, and then it just is Monday and Friday. That Wednesday option gives our students an opportunity to engage in smaller groups. So those small groups cover a variety of topics and are all happening all over campus at the same time. So if you're interested in studying a specific aspect of the Bible, or want to discuss, current culture and how it relates to faith, you can have an option for that Wednesday. But that Monday, Friday is when our whole school gathers together for a time of community. So normally those services start with some kind of student-led worship. Usually it's students, as you see in this picture, singing, playing instruments, doing that sort of thing. There's opportunities to be on a chapel band team if you have this gift or want to participate in this way. I am actually a former graduate myself, and I sang on the chapel band team, and that was just a lot of fun and a way I could be involved in the campus. So consider the ways you can be involved in that capacity. But then the other aspect of the service is some kind of message. So this is often done by a pastor, a faculty member, a staff member, but sometimes it's done by a musician or an artist, or sometimes we have comedians or magicians. Just this week on campus, we have an illusionist. Him and his wife are touring, I believe, the US right now, and giving these presentations, and just a lot of fun and ultimately engaging. Our heart with chapel is to not only build community with each other, but to engage our hearts and minds spiritually, and to learn something new. So chapel is a unique element of Bethel, I'd say, and something that we want everyone to find something they enjoy within it. So a few other things to mention about spiritual formation. This is not an exhaustive list by any means. There are a lot of ways to engage spiritually and build your faith, whether you don't claim to a faith, whether you're searching or you've been, a Christ follower all your life. There are so many opportunities, and we invite you and we welcome you. So just a few on there if you're interested. We do have dorm Bible studies and dorm small groups. So this is another great way you can connect and get chapel credit actually for that small group Wednesday option. Your dorm Bible study can count for that. We also have a Wednesday night option called Vespers, another student-led experience. We have Scripture 66, which is another highlight listed there. That is where we read the entire Bible in a weekend in rotations. So people sign up to read, and it's read all night, all day in a weekend, and we just kind of read that over campus. So it's a pretty cool experience if you want to be a part of it. Again, totally optional. But if you're interested in any of that sort of thing, Bethel might be a great place for you. So we'll continue along here and talk a little bit about just campus life and things you can be involved in. So we do have several student clubs. Just a few are listed there: American Sign Language, education, theater. I know there's business and psychology. There's quite literally a club, I think, for any major you might be at Bethel. And then, of course, if there isn't something that is offered that you want, we can start your own. I think all you need is a faculty or staff sponsor and, kind of a mission for that. And as long as it lines up with our ethics and values, we'd love to add more groups to participate in. Along with student clubs, we also have a lot of leadership opportunities. So I would say another big heart of Bethel is to develop leaders for post-graduation. We want our graduates to be leaders in their communities, in their churches, and their workplaces. So there's a lot of ways to develop those skills. So you could be a part of the chapel band, as I mentioned. You could participate in the Dr. Billy Kirk Leadership Award, which is actually a scholarship for our minority students who are seeking to be leaders in our community. We also have the first year experience mentor program, where you essentially mentor freshmen throughout their orientation week and throughout their first semester. I did that as well when I was a student. Absolutely loved it. It's just such an awesome way to welcome your peers who are kind of fresh and wide-eyed to campus. So that's another great experience. And one of our most popular is being a resident assistant. If you're not familiar with this term, it's where you kind of lead your floor in a dorm. So you and another peer would be responsible for mentoring and kind of taking care of your fellow peers on that floor in the dorm. So those are just a few of our popular ones and ones that often provide some great leadership skills. And then last thing on there is music, theater, and art. So if you're into any of these fantastic opportunities at Bethel, we really enjoy, fine arts in all forms. So we love celebrating with students at the musicals and performances, plays in the fall, concerts, ensembles. They're getting really creative with COVID right now in the way that they rehearse. They rehearse outside. So they set up, a full ensemble out by the pond. So that's pretty incredible that they're committed to continuing on with their passion. So last slide here that I'm going to be sharing this evening is a little bit about our community engagement. So there's several ways that Bethel, I would say, likes to get involved with the people around us. So of course, we're really interested in connecting the people who live together on the campus or who commute to campus. But we definitely notice and realize the importance of taking what we're learning abroad. And that might be next door, right? It doesn't always have to be overseas, but we have both options. So for something locally that we do is something called Service Day. Every fall, Bethel cancels classes for a day, and all of the students, faculty, and staff go out and serve. So quite literally, there's probably 100 organizations that we partner with throughout the community that we go and serve. So these include churches, these include local parks, several of them include nonprofit organizations. So we take time out of our day and out of our education to actually take our education and put it to use. So we serve our community that way, and that's just a wonderful opportunity to kind of take our heart and our mission to other people. So that's really exciting if you're at all interested in service. And if you're not, perhaps your heart would change if you participated in this. I know it has for me. Every time I did it, I learned something new and appreciated my community more. Dorm match is just another opportunity for students to serve. That's when a dorm is matched up with a local organization, and that dorm is essentially responsible for serving at that location for the semester or for the year. So that's really great. I know that one of our dorms participated at a place called the Logan Center, which is a great center for adults with special needs, and they participated there. So it's a great opportunity to get involved. Another one is Iron Sharpens Iron. That's just another mentoring kind of program and tutoring service for just urban youth, just about 10 minutes away from our campus. So plenty of ways truly to serve and get connected and engaged with the community around you. The last two things on this list actually take us abroad. So we've talked about the community, and we've talked about how to, take our experiences off campus, just a few miles away, so to speak. But task force and semester abroad are those opportunities in which you can go a little farther. So task force is something somewhat unique to Bethel. That is where students go out and travel to various locations for usually about 2 weeks at a time, and they can both serve kind of a missions trip focus, but they also can gain college credit. So that's really a fantastic option for students who maybe don't have the time to, just take time off and study abroad. They need to be working towards their degree. So this is a great option for that. And you also can really take your education and make it come alive by serving in that way. So students have gone to Costa Rica, France, Thailand, quite literally everywhere for these task force trips. So that's a great option. And then the last one here is semester abroad. So this is obviously for a student who wants to take their education more seriously for a longer period of time in a specific location. So there's a few listed there at the bottom of the screen. We partner with an organization called Best Semester, and they provide these opportunities. So you could go to Australia, Costa Rica, Los Angeles, Nashville, Spain, Oxford, Uganda, Washington, D.C., the list goes on. When I was a student, I actually went to Oxford. That was a tremendous experience. I can't recommend it enough. I'm so grateful that Bethel, being as small as it is and being a Christian university, I think it was amazing that I was offered that option. So if you're interested at all in engaging the community or bringing your education abroad, Bethel, again, might be a great place for you. And then we have athletics. So forgot this slide. So real quick note about athletics. Another super popular thing here at Bethel. A lot of our students are athletes, which is pretty great. We are affiliated with the NAIA league. So usually that tends to mean that we can award scholarships for athletics, and it requires our students to maintain a high standing GPA. So that kind of means that, hey, we really take our academics seriously. So it's kind of like academics and then athletics. And I think that's an awesome thing that Bethel really encourages is, hey, you're a well-rounded student and one doesn't trump the other. So just a few things to mention. We have 40 national championships. We do have some very new sports that are just thriving. So just in 2019, we added swimming and diving for both men and women. And we also added bowling. So if those are sports that you've played that you would love to pursue at the collegiate level, it'd be a great thing to do here. And we also added esports. So that's really new to me, but we have a full team ready to go, and they seem to be really enjoying it. There is a list on the right side there. If you're curious about what other sports we do offer, feel free to take a look. The last thing is intramurals are an option. Essentially what that is playing sports for fun. So we set up tournaments, we create teams. So if you don't want to play a junior varsity or varsity sport, there's still ways to pursue either your skills, talents, or just your desires to play with your college peers. So consider that as you're perhaps making your college decision.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Susie. I'm going to briefly talk about the application process as well as some financial aid and award opportunities that Bethel offers, and then finish off by talking about visiting campus, because we would love to have you guys come for a campus visit. So the application process begins for our students after their junior year of high school. So our application is free online. We are not on the Common App. We have our own application, but it would only take you about 10 or 15 minutes to complete. It's a really easy application. It just asks about your personal information, like what high school you go to, what activities you're involved in, classes that you're a part of. There is an optional essay at the end that you can fill out as well, just to kind of give us some more information about yourself. Once we have your application in the system, then we will need your official high school transcript. So there's a few different ways that this can be sent to us. If your school uses an online transcript request service, such as Parchment, we do accept it through there. If not, then your guidance counselor can email us a copy, or they can send it through the mail. So there's a few different options. If you have some questions about that, you can always feel free to reach out to our admission office, and one of our admission counselors would be happy to serve you. So something a little bit different this year is that Bethel has temporarily gone test optional. So this applies for current seniors. Juniors, we're not sure yet if this is going to be a permanent thing. So for juniors right now, definitely still plan to take the SAT. Seniors, feel free to take it too. It's always good to have it in your back pocket. But for this year, we are asking that, or saying that, if your overall GPA is a 2.5 or higher, you do not need to submit SAT or ACT scores for general admission to Bethel. But if your GPA is a 2.0 to a 2.49, that's perfectly fine. We're just going to ask that you do send SAT or ACT scores to kind of supplement for that. So that is the application process. One note about the SAT or ACT scores that I forgot to mention is that if you're interested in nursing or education, as well as interested in being an athlete, definitely still plan to test if you haven't already, because the School of Nursing is going to ask for you to submit scores when you apply to be in the program. Education students, it's helpful to have scores now because your scores may help you test out of a subject test or two instead of taking the Praxis core. And then for NAIA eligibility for athletes, you may need to test. So just some things to keep in the back of your mind if that applies to you. So that is our application process, pretty simple and straightforward. Once you do apply, you will be contacted by an admission counselor. All of us do have specific territories across the United States and even within Indiana as well. So we are there to help you through that process. So if you apply to Bethel and you are accepted, I just have some of the next steps listed. So completing the FAFSA is a big next step. So it opened back on October 1st and it stays open through mid-April. We have our school code right there, 001787. So you'll just put that in when you're sending your FAFSA off to schools, and that'll just make sure that our financial aid office receives it so they can make a financial aid award letter for you. And then, once it gets to be, a lot of students start making college decisions in the spring. And if you decide that Bethel is where you want to go, it's where you want to make your home, then you would submit your enrollment deposit and housing deposit if you decide to live on campus to make it official and secure your spot in a class. All right, so some financial aid opportunities that Bethel offers. One good thing to note is that 97% of our students do receive some type of financial assistance. So if you go onto our website and see the total direct cost for Bethel, don't be alarmed. That's just the sticker price. A lot of our students do receive aid. Average financial aid award packages are about $20,000, which really helps bring the cost down. So one big scholarship that Bethel offers is merit or academic scholarships. So in years past, it has been based off of your GPA and your test scores equally, but for current seniors, we're going to go based solely off of your GPA. So merit scholarships range from $8,000 to $16,000. It's just 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. Our final merit calculator is being created right now for what GPA is going to determine what merit amount you'll be awarded. So we're hoping to know those final amounts soon, but just to at least give you an idea of the merit scholarships that we do offer. And one good thing about the merit scholarship is that it's actually renewable each year. So it'll be placed on your financial aid award letter year after year. So if based on your GPA, you're awarded $12,000, you'll see that each year as long as you maintain a 2.0 or above while at Bethel. We do offer some talent scholarships. So athletics fall under talent awards. The amounts vary depending on the sport and the budget of each sport, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. Like Susie mentioned, we are NAIA, so we can do those scholarships. And then the same goes for music, theater, and art. We do have scholarships available for those students. Again, the amounts vary, and a lot of the time those scholarships are awarded first to like music, theater, and art students. And then if there's money left over, people who may just want to do music or theater as something fun on the side, they may be able to audition and get a little bit of a scholarship too, which is really great. We do offer a church matching scholarship. So if you attend a church where you live and you know that they offer scholarships for students going off to college, then that is, and you apply for that and you're, say, awarded $200. If you fill out our short church matching scholarship or application through our financial aid office, Bethel will match that $200 scholarship, which is really great. If you are a local student and you commute to Bethel, Bethel will match $500 of a church scholarship. And then if you end up living on campus, Bethel will match up to $1,000 of a church scholarship. Billy Kirk Leadership Award. This is something that Susie mentioned earlier as well, kind of under the leadership opportunities, but it is for ethnic minority students. And I believe the amount goes up to $8,000 a year for that scholarship, but there is a little bit of a range. I think typically about $4,000 to $8,000 each year, and that requires you to be involved in volunteer and leadership opportunities across campus. which is a really great opportunity to get to know other people and both know the people within that Billy Kirk group, but then really engage with others on campus. FAFSA, I already mentioned, and that's a really big one. So that lets you know about any federal or state loans and grants you might be eligible for. One thing that Bethel has started this year is that upon acceptance to Bethel, you're awarded $500 on your award package. And then if you file FAFSA and send it to Bethel, we're going to give you another $500 for filing it and sending it over to us. Just a little bit of an incentive, because FAFSA is something that's important, especially with grants, because grants are what you don't have to pay back, and then loans are what you do pay back. And then outside scholarships, I always encourage students to check out your guidance office at school. I know some schools have a guidance office, and then some have a college and career resource room. So wherever you typically go to talk with your counselor about college or learn more information about colleges, hopefully they'll have information and resources as well about any outside scholarships that are available in your area. So that might be city, county, chamber of commerce, banks, credit unions, things like that. It's a little bit more a tedious process for applying to colleges, but if you can find some scholarships that are $100, $200, you can get up to a pretty good amount of money that you don't have to pay back to school, which is really nice. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, we would love to have you on campus for a visit. We are doing on-campus visits again with, of course, some safety precautions in place, wearing masks, socially distancing, having all meetings in the same place, things like that. But we do have two different type of visit options to look into. So I can talk about the pilot preview days first. So that's exploring Bethel in a group setting. And I have the dates listed here for when you can sign up. So we do have 2 this week. Of course, obviously a little last minute now, but that's totally fine. If you wanted to come in the winter or even in the spring, you would get to have a campus tour. We do have like a little academic fair where you can meet with different professors from departments across campus, whether it be nursing, education, music, theater, art. Pretty much everyone's there to talk with you, talk through the program, answer your questions. You can meet with an admission counselor. You can request to meet with a coach and have lunch on campus. So kind of get a feel for it, but in a bigger group setting if that's what you like. But if you kind of want a more intimate individual feel, then I would definitely encourage you to check out our individual visits. You can get a campus tour. You can attend chapel if you come on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday morning. You can meet with a professor in the area of study that you're interested in. If you're interested in playing a sport, then you can meet with a coach. And then you can also meet with who your admission counselor would be. So definitely a great opportunity to come check us out, whether you're local or you're from a few hours away. Definitely a great investment to get that on-campus feel.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Elena, for talking about that. I just want to really repeat what Elena was saying and the importance of visiting campus. I personally, going into college, I visited at least 5 different schools, and most of them were small Christian colleges just like Bethel. And after my visit to Bethel, I spent the night and I went to a corn maze with some Bethel students. And I remember I got back from the corn maze and hanging out with them, and I texted my mom, "I'm coming to Bethel, sign me up." So visiting campus really was pivotal for me in choosing Bethel. And I think that there's always some sort of help in making a decision once you visit a college campus. So totally agree with that. So that wraps up all the information that we have to share with you guys. But one thing that we just each like to share is one reason why we think you should at least check out Bethel or go to Bethel. So we're each going to share our favorite part about Bethel before we wrap this up. And anyone can go ahead and take that away.
I can start. So one thing that I absolutely love about Bethel as a former student, I would say specifically, is truly the academics. So of course you're going to get an education wherever you go, because that's ultimately the point. And if you meet the requirements, you're going to graduate with some kind of degree, right? But I think the really powerful thing about my Bethel education specifically was, on the one hand, I got a really robust, really in-depth degree from really talented professors. So most, if not all, of our professors have high degrees, PhDs in their fields, constantly doing research and further study in their disciplines. So you're truly getting a tremendous education from those instructors. But while you're doing that, you're also supported by a really helpful community. So I think that's so powerful, because it's a tremendous and robust and even pretty rigorous education at times, but without the kind of competitive nature that some other schools might have. And so I felt safe, I felt comfortable, and I felt excited to study what I was studying at a pretty high level, without kind of the stress that comes along with trying to compete with my peers, or to try to achieve to gain better credentials or something than them. We were all in it together, and we really supported each other throughout the process. So I would say you're getting truly top-notch academic education without the kind of competitive nature that some other programs might offer. So that would be my favorite part.
I can go next. So unlike my 3 coworkers here, I did not attend Bethel. I went to a bit bigger public university, so I kind of came in with a different perspective, different experience. And I would have to say one of the big things that stands out and really makes Bethel unique is how intentional everyone is. I didn't see this as much where I went to school. I kind of had to almost seek out a mentor, or try to seek out a professor, either to talk with them or to try to get research experience working with them. So at Bethel, you have professors that really care about you. Of course, they care about you succeeding academically, not just at Bethel, but even after you graduate, and whether you go to a job or whether you go on to grad school. They care for you. And something that's really great, and I don't think we mentioned earlier in the presentation, was that mentoring is a very big part of Bethel. About 70% of our students participate in either one-on-one or small group mentoring with a professor, like a faculty, staff member, coach, someone on campus to keep them accountable. And that mentoring kind of consists of meeting with your mentor once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. You could grab a cup of coffee in our Sufficient Grounds coffee shop. You may have lunch or dinner with them in our dining commons, and they're just there to check in on you and be like, hey, how are classes going? Like, what can I help you find on campus, the resources to help you succeed academically if you're struggling. How's your personal life going? Like, they'll get to know your family. They'll invite you over to their house for dinner. It's just very intentional and not something that you would see at a bigger school. So I think that's something really unique and something that I wish I would have had the experience of where I went.
I can go. Sorry, I couldn't get my unmute button. I would say the thing that I think about most when I think of Bethel is just friendship. So I was actually a transfer student. So I went to a school of over 40,000 students for a semester, and then I came to Bethel. And I think about how I was just having a rough semester, and I decided I wanted to come back home. And the professor that I had for my 3 years at Bethel actually met me on Thanksgiving break and scheduled all my classes for me that first semester. And she's now one of my lifelong friends. And I think I made so many friends from Bethel, whether that's professors or the dining commons workers, just people that are so friendly all the time. And then I made friends that were on athletic teams, friends that were in theater, so quickly. So I would just say Bethel is a place where you can really make lifelong friends, and people just meet you where you're at. And that's what I really love so much. I love so many things about Bethel, but I really do think you meet some of the most caring people that become lifelong friends. So.
Yeah, I think all of those are really important and huge parts about what I love about Bethel too. Something that was the reason I chose Bethel, and a reason that I continue to just love Bethel, is the importance that your spiritual life is placed. When you come to Bethel, whether you grew up in the church or haven't as much, people just really care about where you are spiritually, and they just, your relationship with God is just something that can really be nurtured here and grown here. So I loved being able to have hard conversations about the Bible and learn so much with people that cared about those things, and from professors that I trusted and that really knew the word and knew how to teach it, and just helped me grow so much. So I continue to see that even now, and that spiritual component was so important to me, and I'm really thankful for it. So that wraps up what we have. We have, it looks like, just a couple minutes if any of you have questions. So we'd love to answer those if you want to share them in the chat. So we'll just see if any of those come through. But if not, we really appreciate everyone that joined us for our presentation today.
Yeah, thank you so much to Olivia, Susan, Elena, and Brooke so much for what you brought in. And I mean, hey, sign me up. It sounds great, you know. So, but yeah, for any last minute questions you want to pop into the Q&A would be awesome too. If you're watching this presentation after it's live and posted, feel free to reach out to them to get a hold of them to ask any further questions that you may have. At the end of this presentation, there's going to be a survey that goes out. If you could please just take a couple of minutes to fill that out, that will help us to get some feedback and know how we can do better moving forward. Thank you, panelists, for your time and energy you put into this. Thank you to all of you who have logged in. We appreciate that. Stay safe, be well, and all the best in your university searching. Bye-bye.